President Trump really doesn't want to wear a mask. He doesn't want to do the basic minimum to prevent other people around him from getting coronavirus. Now, following the CDC announcing the updated mask recommendations last month, the president had said, quote, this: "I don't think that I'm going to be doing it." Well, I mean, that's fairly clear. He's not going to do it. Now, he gets into details when he talks to some advisors to him, where he says that he believes wearing one would, quote, "send the wrong message." Now, what message is that? Well, there's a couple of different messages. One is, according to the administration and two campaign officials, the president said doing so would make it seem like he's preoccupied with health during a pandemic, which would make sense. But instead of reopening the nation's economy, which we shouldn't do. I'm sorry, we shouldn't do. It's not yet time. I mean, already there are places that have just considered themselves, rid of the coronavirus that are now having deadly second waves, the beginning of it. We're not even the first wave. We're not over that yet. And so second wave is going to be even more of a disaster. So, but the other reason, of course, and I think this is the one that makes the most sense and is the most likely, is that it would make him, quote unquote, look bad. Trump has told confidants, according to MSN, that he fears he would look ridiculous in a mask and the image would appear in negative ads, according to one of the officials. It would look bad. Donald Trump in a mask. No. Anything that covers up that face is a good thing. I'm just saying. Cover. The more, you know what? The bigger mask, the better. All right? For Trump. He needs a full face mask. Put the guy in a hazmat suit. And not for his own health, for ours. But okay, anyway. So look, kidding aside, this is Donald Trump 101. Again, the masks aren't to protect the wearer. They're to protect everyone else. As just breathing in an enclosed space can spread the virus. They've done studies. And they've, done contact tracing where people that would, breathe, just exhale, that have coronavirus, and that, coronavirus, those virus particles would end up going and cycling through the air conditioning system and infect other people in the room or in even other rooms. And so, yeah, wearing a mask actually is to protect other people. And if everybody's wearing masks, then we're all protecting each other while also protecting ourselves. So it makes sense, right? So now Trump doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to wear the mask. And what's worse about that is that his decisions are affecting everyone else. They're affecting the culture in the White House and also the culture among conservatives. White House aides say the president hasn't told them not to wear them, but few do. Some Republican allies have asked Trump campaign how it would be viewed by the White House if they were spotted wearing a mask, according to two campaign officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity. So now these guys are worried again about hey, look, how's it going to look for the Trump campaign if I get caught wearing a mask? I'm kind of worried about, my health and the health of, my family and friends, but also I don't want to make Donald Trump look bad because, because that would be bad for me. Look, there's a lot of people around Trump that are only attracted to the power. And because he's president of the United States, obviously he's got a lot of power. And so, yeah, you cozy up to that. And the one thing that Donald Trump can't stand is when people are disloyal or they don't, follow in his example. And so not wearing a mask follows in his example. And so there's this culture as well in the White House among these conservatives of selfishness. And of course, it's because the fish rots from the head down. And now the mask for a lot of Republicans has become a political statement. I mean, you got MAGA guys who are saying, "Oh, I'm not going to wear a mask." And then they're threatening to shoot people over it. And then you actually did have somebody get shot, a security guard in Flint, who was murdered for telling somebody to put on a mask. I mean, I think some of this is a result of Trump not taking a strong enough stance to saying, hey, no, look, guys, wearing a mask is a smart thing to do. Just do it. Instead, he's like, you don't have to wear a mask. I'm not going to wear a mask. It's going to be fine. The virus will disappear. Maybe you should inject some Lysol and put a light bulb in your butt. And all that. I mean, the very strong studies that we're looking into that. But you don't have to wear a mask. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so you got Republicans, by the way, ignoring the science because Donald Trump, again, questions the science about this and questions people like Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Birx. And look, Dr. Birx basically did everything that she could to try to appease Donald Trump. Even that's not enough to get him to basically listen to her. And he's been urging the reopening of the country when we're clearly not ready for a reopening. And so it's disastrous. Not only that, but he's tweeting things out like, been tweeting things like liberate Michigan, liberate the states. And it's, of course, for gross political reason, right? And then these Republicans believe that it's a plot, these lockdowns are a plot to take your freedom. Not to say that there aren't bad actors out there who would use a crisis like this to violate your civil rights. Of course, right? But that's not what's happening in America right now. No. Not being able to get your hair done is not a violation of your civil rights. I mean, look, the other day, we had like members of Meal Team 6 armed with long guns and a bazooka at frickin' Subway. All right. It seems like your rights are still intact if you're a gun-toting right-wing Republican. They went out. They didn't get arrested. They didn't wear masks. They weren't social distancing. And they were wearing their guns. What rights are being infringed upon, really? Really? I mean, look, in Michigan, which is supposedly tyranny, right? There's no enforcement against not wearing a mask or social distancing. They're not enforcing this. And so what freedoms have you lost? Really? And by the way, that bazooka, sub launcher. I'm just saying. That's what I'd use it for. Okay. Launch some subs to your friends. All right. Anyway, I know this is a serious topic, but I just can't help but think like these guys, like, what are you doing? You're being ridiculous. Why do you take a bazooka into a freaking Subway? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Okay. Anyway, so now Lindsay Marr is a Virginia Tech engineering professor, and she has experience in airborne transmission of viruses. And so she would be a little bit of an expert, right? She has a slightly different take, but one that does make sense when it comes to talking about why conservatives are doing what they're doing. She says, quote, there's such a strong culture of individualism that even if it's going to help protect them, people don't want the government telling them what to do. I talked about this before, right? I talked about how, hey, look, people don't like being told what to do, especially by the government. I get it. But a lot of people will do, of course, what's best for them out of their own volition. But there is a certain subset of the population that will not, that will decide to share ridiculous conspiracy theories on YouTube and, not socially distance and then put people at risk, put themselves at risk, put other people at risk. Hey, man, look, if it just affected you, I would say go ahead. You're not harming it. If you're not harming anybody, go ahead. Don't wear a mask. Get corona all day, right? But unfortunately, this is a public health issue. And so, my health is important. My, family's health is important. Your family's health is important. So why not just do the minimum required and put a freaking mask on in public or stay home? I mean, it's not that hard. It's not like anybody's asking you to give up your guns, which clearly you have not if you're carrying them around. And by the way, if you want to go out there and carry your guns around, right, in public, well, then wear a mask and keep 6 feet away from other people, and you can carry your freaking guns everywhere. Doesn't matter. Now, one more thing. Again, Trump's not wearing a mask. Mike Pence isn't wearing a mask. Barely anybody at the White House was wearing a mask. That is until Pence's press secretary, Katie Miller, tested positive for COVID-19, as well as some Donald Trump's personal valets and numerous Secret Service personnel. So now there is a requirement for people at the White House to wear masks. But unfortunately, they just had a press conference earlier today, and a lot of them did wear masks for the camera. Donald Trump, of course, didn't. But a lot of people wore masks for the camera. And then when the cameras were off, or at least the live broadcast was over, they took their masks right off. So what was the point? Is this your show for the camera? I mean, what are you doing? I mean, and look, here's the thing. I talked about this yesterday, how I think Donald Trump thinks he's immune, right? I think that he believes that his good genes will save him from COVID-19, right? And then you combine that with his ridiculous vanity, and then here you got a situation where it's almost certain that at some point he's going to get coronavirus, and then he's going to be telling everybody, nobody knew, nobody could have known how contagious the corona was. But now I know everything about corona. Nobody knows about getting sick with corona as much as I do. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.